Okay, so I was 22 years old and had a kid. By the time I was 27, I had four. Wasn't much happened. I gave up playing. I gave up, smoking or not smoking, but I gave up drugs and I gave up drinking when I had kids. That's not a way to raise kids, and I know that from personal experience. So I basically settled into a normal life of working and wife, kids, and whatnot. They were fairly happy. Good woman. And life chuggles on. So 1990, the fall of 1990, I got kind of sick. I didn't think none of us, a lot of chest congestion and stuff. So this goes on for about a week, right? So one night I'm sitting in a chair, I couldn't breathe. I used to sleep in a chair, and then my wife looked at me. She said, "Thomas, your lips are blue. Your face is turning purple." I was so dizzy I didn't understand. She rushed me up to the doctor's office. They gave me three breathing treatments to open my lungs up. I was in a hospital for a week and a half with double pneumonia. Almost died. They told me I had like another half hour, I would have been dead. So that was a fun part of life. And like I said, life just kind of normaled out there. It just, odds and end weird stuff like, when my wife was pregnant with my second son, she fell down a set of steps and broke her ankle, shattered it to pieces. So she was in a cast for, I think it was 16 weeks. So I had to take care of the house and the two kids and everything myself for 16 weeks. I was collecting unemployment, doing the best we could. So she had my son. She was still in a cast, actually. She didn't get out of the cast till he was like 3 or 4 months old. So changing diapers and everything. And so 1991, I went to work at this garage and I started rebuilding engines. And we built racing engines for like Jimmy Spencer. He was a NASCAR driver, and a couple other guys. I worked that job for, I think it was 3 years. And the boss was a real. So yeah, that was like 94. Yeah. Life was normal. Kids, everybody has life like this. So 1994, I said to myself, I'm tired of this. I'm beating my butt into the ground. I come home a greasy, smelly mess that burns all over me from you cook these engines in a soda bath, soda beads to degrease them and everything. Well, the stuff is highly toxic, and if it gets on your skin, it burns. So I'm full of pock marks all over my arm from the shit. And so I got in a fight with the boss one day. We went at it. Now, back between first wife and second wife, I got in a fight with a family member of hers. I beat him almost to death. Cost me a lot of money and parole and everything else. And I did finally say I was sorry. He wouldn't stop. He pushed me way past my point of madness. So this is like 1994. A friend said to me, "Hey, I found a great job." I said, "You were doing what?" He's telemarketing. I always had the gift of gab, so I was like, "Hey, I'll come down and try it." So I started working for this telemarketing agency. They sat us on a long row of telephones, and we had like this book this thick, and every night before you started work, you went through this. He asked you, like, you dialed him and he'd ask you a question. You got to find the answer. We only had 2 seconds, 3 seconds to find the answer. You had to, like, boom, I'm new. I don't know these answers. I don't know this book. So the first week I'm there, he's like, you better get your ass in gear, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, I said, listen, pal, you won't let me take it home, so when I'm here, it's the only time I get to use it. How am I supposed to know these answers? Hey, don't give me your shit, Mr. Cocky came in with the suit, he's a professional. Well, we're on the parking lot one night, and he walked up to me and said, if you don't, and he pushed his finger on my chest. I looked at him and said, if you won't move that finger, I'm going to break it off. You don't have the guts. And I grabbed the hold of that damn finger and I snapped it into like 6 pieces. It was, instead of this way, it was over here. I told him, I said, next time you touch me, I'll kill you. That was the end of the telemarketing job. So I went to another place. And met this guy by the name of Mike. He was my supervisor. Now, it was all commission. We were selling septic tank, something to do with septic tanks that cleaned the lines and stuff. I was making $700 a week. I knew where my profession was, what my niche in life was. So that ended. Well, 4 months later, turned out the lady was embezzling the company and everything else, and she took off with the money, and that was the end of the telemarketing business. So that was my second job, telemarketing. So I went from there to a place called M. Charles Productions. They used to do fundraisers for firefighters and stuff. And in the meantime, my life was fairly normal. I didn't, I was hunting and I was fishing and camping and carrying on. Now this guy Mike that I met at that telemarketing agency, he was also a hunter and a camper and stuff. So we used to go just about every weekend. Excuse me. We'd be out in the woods for the entire weekend. I showed him where all my little, setups were across the mountain and everything, and he took me to places I didn't know, and we had a good time. We did a trip across Archibald Mountain that was 5 days. We were both on vacation. 5 days we took off. That was one wild place, man. It was untouched. It was wild. I only been in one other place like that. It was a place called Gas Hollow. It was in the middle of nowhere, and there was a creek that ran through it, and every animal in America used that creek for whatever. It was a spooky but yet fun place to go. So, I telemarketed for 23 years. And like I said, life was normal, just raising kids going to school. I was making good money. I moved my way up into management. And that's what I did for 15 years of my 23 years. I managed telemarketing offices and different departments within the businesses and whatnot. Yeah, life was pretty normal. The only time I was working for a company called North Star Productions, which was an offshoot from another company I went with. And I went out on the back porch one day to have a smoke, and I leaned up against the porch railing, and the porch railing gave loose. The big deal about that is it's 6 foot in the air. So I fell 6 foot headfirst into a brick wall, smashed the wall to pieces. Had a concussion for 3 weeks. I was pretty bad shape. And after that, the company closed down, actually. I tried suing for damages, and they wouldn't let me sue for damages because I wasn't supposed to be in the emergency exit area, which was the designated break area, and everybody knew it. But life was pretty normal. I didn't have to worry about mom and dad. I had my own place, so if anything happened, it was my fault. I had 4 kids and a wife. Camping, hunting, fishing. Just, every day I'd get up and take a walk through the woods before work. I had a good life going. And you know what? I thought this was going to go on forever, but it really wasn't, because for 27 years of my life, it was pretty much mundane family man, working, making a living. So this series ain't going to be that much longer. So let's cut this one off here, and then we'll pick up on the other side of it.